On July 1st, 2025, the world of televangelism stood still. Jimmy Swaggart, the voice, the face, the fire of Pentecostal preaching, was gone. For decades, his sermons, his music, and his dramatic rise and fall defined the very soul of American Christianity. And yet, even as his life faded into memory, the shadow he cast remained, a shadow stretching directly over his son, Donnie Swaggart. For most of his life, Donnie had been both blessed and burdened by his father's name. He preached under it, lived under it, fought against it, and defended it when the scandals nearly destroyed everything. But now, with Jimmy gone, the question that trembles across the ministry, across Baton Rouge, and across millions of television screens worldwide is this: can Donnie Swaggart step out of his father's shadow and regain his old power, or has that power slipped away forever? Donnie, before the death, a personality larger than life. To understand Donnie now, one must remember Donnie then. Long before Jimmy's death, Donnie had a reputation of his own. Where Jimmy was polished, dramatic, and often musical in his delivery, Donnie was rougher, sharper, even confrontational at times. He thundered from the pulpit with a fire that was both magnetic and polarizing. Supporters loved his boldness. Critics accused him of arrogance. But no one could deny, when Donnie spoke, people listened. He was unapologetic in his defense of Pentecostal doctrine. He often singled out cultural issues with biting clarity. His sermons didn't just encourage, they provoked, challenged, sometimes even enraged. That personality, that old Donnie, was his strength. It was what made him unique, different even from his father. While Jimmy was the legend, Donnie was the fighter. But with Jimmy's passing, that fighter's fire dimmed. The day everything changed. When news broke that Jimmy Swaggart had passed away, the family worship center was flooded with grief. Television networks ran old clips of Jimmy singing "There Is a River." Social media filled with tributes. Former critics, even those who had once mocked his scandals, admitted that an era had ended. Inside the Swaggart family, the grief was unbearable. Frances, Jimmy's lifelong partner, was inconsolable. Gabriel, the rising heir apparent, stood in shock. But Donnie? Donnie was caught in a storm far deeper than sorrow. For Donnie, the death of Jimmy Swaggart wasn't just the loss of a father. It was the loss of a shield, a standard, a giant he had wrestled with all his life. And overnight, the question became, what now? The pressure of inheritance. Jimmy left behind more than memories. He left behind an empire. Sun Life Broadcasting Network, millions of viewers worldwide. Family Worship Center in Baton Rouge, the ministry headquarters. A vast donor base, loyal for decades. A fragile reputation still balancing between redemption and scandal. All of it, directly or indirectly, sat on Donnie's shoulders. And here's the irony. For years, Donnie had lived with accusations that he was too brash, too reckless, too temperamental to lead. Gabriel, younger and media savvy, often appeared as the smoother choice. But in the raw days after Jimmy's death, it wasn't Gabriel people looked at. It was Donnie. Why? Because Donnie carried Jimmy's fire more than anyone else. He had the same thunder in his voice, the same uncompromising faith. The world expected him to rise. But could he? Donnie's struggle, a man torn in two. In the weeks after Jimmy's death, observers noticed something strange in Donnie's preaching. On some Sundays, he was electric, pacing the stage, pointing his finger, hammering down scripture like the Donnie of old. On other days, he looked broken, even hesitant. His voice cracked, his tone softened. This wasn't the Donnie people remembered. This wasn't the fearless preacher who once declared, "I don't care what they say out there. The word of God doesn't change." It was a Donnie caught between grief and destiny. A Donnie asking himself the very question everyone else whispered. Can I really fill his shoes? The shadow of the father. To understand Donnie's present, we must rewind to his lifelong struggle with Jimmy's shadow. From his earliest days, Donnie's identity was never his own. He wasn't just Donnie, he was Jimmy's son. Every sermon, every decision, every controversy was compared to his father's. When Donnie preached with fire, people said, "He's trying to be Jimmy." When Donnie stumbled in his personal life, critics said, "Like father, like son." When Donnie defended the ministry, people accused him of being nothing more than Jimmy's mouthpiece. This comparison shaped him into a man always fighting for respect, for recognition, for independence. And now, after Jimmy's death, that shadow hasn't disappeared. It has only grown longer. Because without Jimmy alive to lead, Donnie faces the impossible task to become the man everyone hopes he is, while never truly escaping the shadow of the man they lost. A ministry on the brink. Jimmy's death didn't just shake the family emotionally, it shook the ministry practically. Donations slowed in the weeks following his passing. Viewership dipped, as many tuned in only for Jimmy himself. Behind the scenes, reports suggested tension over leadership roles. Donnie versus Gabriel, Frances quietly advising, staff members uncertain. And through it all, Donnie stood at the pulpit, caught between proving himself and surviving his grief. One member of Family Worship Center said, "You can see it in his eyes. He's preaching, but he's hurting. He's trying to be strong, but you can feel he's searching for something, maybe for himself." The struggle to regain his personality. This is where the heart of the matter lies. Donnie once had a personality that commanded attention. He wasn't just a preacher. He was a fighter, a warrior, a man whose voice could cut through noise like a sword. But grief, responsibility, and the weight of legacy have softened him. His sermons are more cautious. His temper, once infamous, now looks restrained. His fire seems dimmer, replaced by heaviness. Some call it maturity. Others call it weakness. The real question is, can Donnie regain his old power, or has Jimmy's death forever changed him? Supporters versus critics. The Swaggart audience is divided. Supporters say, Donnie has grown wiser. His softer tone shows humility and depth. He is no longer just Jimmy's son. He is his own man. Critics argue, Donnie has lost his edge. He no longer has the charisma to carry the ministry. Gabriel, not Donnie, should step forward as the true heir. This tug-of-war is playing out not just in the church pews, but across social media, Christian networks, and living rooms around the world. The sanctuary of Family Worship Center feels different now. The light still shines through the stained glass windows. The choir still sings the same familiar hymns, but something is missing. Jimmy's presence. For decades, his voice echoed like thunder across pulpits worldwide. Now, with his departure, the echoes have faded, and in that silence, one man stands at the center of it all, Donnie Swaggart. The question on everyone's lips is the same. Can Donnie truly regain his old power, or has time, loss, and controversy permanently changed him? Frances Swaggart, the quiet power behind the throne. Few people outside Baton Rouge realize just how powerful Frances Swaggart has always been. Known for her sharp instincts and unwavering loyalty to her husband, Frances was the strategist, the organizer, the one who managed the empire while Jimmy preached. Now, with Jimmy gone, Frances's role has only grown. Some insiders whisper that she's the one urging Donnie to step up and reclaim his fire. Others claim she worries that Donnie doesn't have the same charisma as his father, and so she has shifted her focus toward Gabriel, her grandson, who many view as the heir apparent. But Frances knows one thing: the Swaggart empire can't survive without strong leadership, and she isn't about to watch everything she and Jimmy built collapse. Gabriel Swaggart, the modern face of JSM. While Donnie carries the weight of history, Gabriel Swaggart represents the future. Polished, media-savvy, and always smiling, Gabriel has cultivated an image of youthful energy mixed with modern evangelical style. His sermons are less fiery than Donnie's, but more relatable for a new generation. This generational divide has created tension. Longtime followers see Donnie as the true heir to Jimmy's pulpit fire. Younger viewers are drawn to Gabriel's calm, polished approach. Inside JSM, this has become a tug-of-war. Should the ministry's future lean on Donnie's reclaimed personality or Gabriel's rising influence? And Frances, ever the strategist, stands in the middle, carefully balancing the old guard with the new blood. Supporters versus critics, the battle lines. Among churchgoers and television viewers, opinions are split. Supporters of Donnie argue passionately. He's the only one who has Jimmy's fire in him. Donnie may have stumbled in the past, but he's real, raw, and unapologetic. That's what we need. The ministry would lose its soul if Donnie doesn't lead. But critics counter with equal passion. Donnie is stuck in the past. He can't adapt to modern audiences. Gabriel is the future. Donnie's too controversial. The scandals around him will always haunt this ministry. This debate has spilled onto social media, with heated arguments between the two camps. The comment sections of JSM broadcasts are filled with fiery clashes. Some beg Donnie to preach more often, while others demand Gabriel take full control. Donnie's struggle to reclaim his voice. For Donnie himself, the struggle is deeply personal. In his sermons after Jimmy's death, his voice sometimes quivers. He tries to project authority, but you can sense the weight he carries. The shadow of his father is enormous, so enormous that it sometimes threatens to drown him out. In moments of fire, the old Donnie returns. He paces across the stage, slamming his Bible, shouting with conviction, just like the 1990s days when he filled auditoriums with thunderous sermons. But then there are moments of hesitation. where grief and uncertainty creep in. He is a man torn between the need to lead and the burden of loss. Ministry politics behind the curtain. What the cameras don't show is the political maneuvering happening behind the scenes. Ministries of this size are not just churches, they're corporations. Decisions about broadcasting, publishing, tours, and finances are all tied to leadership. Some insiders claim there are factions within JSM. One group wants Donnie to be the face of leadership, believing continuity with Jimmy's legacy is the only way forward. Another group believes Gabriel should be elevated, arguing he is scandal-free and modern. And in the middle, Frances, balancing loyalty to her son with strategic planning for the future. The unspoken fear is this: without a clear leader, JSM could fracture. The pressure of the media. Adding to the weight is the constant gaze of the media. Religious news outlets, bloggers, and YouTube commentators dissect every word Donnie says, every emotion he shows. Headlines, like Donnie Swaggart breaks down in tears, or Gabriel rising as Donnie falters flood search result. This scrutiny adds fuel to the internal fire. Donnie is not just battling grief, he's battling perception. And perception in the world of televangelism is everything. A son's burden. Perhaps the most emotional part of Donnie's journey is that, before being a preacher, he is a son. Losing Jimmy was not just losing a mentor or a ministry leader, it was losing his father. The pulpit is now both a platform and a grave reminder of that absence. Every time Donnie looks at the pulpit, he sees Jimmy. Every time he preaches, he hears comparisons. Every time he falters, he feels the judgment of millions. It is a crushing weight that no outsider can fully understand. The road ahead. So, can Donnie regain his old power? The answer is not simple. His fire still burns, but it flickers under the winds of grief, controversy, and family politics. Whether he can rise again depends on three things. His own resilience. Will he continue to fight, to preach with passion, to silence critics by sheer force of personality? Frances's influence. Will she throw her full weight behind Donnie, or pivot toward Gabriel as the safer bet? The people's response. Will the faithful rally behind Donnie?